Another week in the books, and we've got a lot to say. As always, I caution anybody that has little kids that may or may not appreciate the language, because there's are occasionally language used that is probably inappropriate for the young ones. Um, the other part of that is that everything I happen to say is my opinion. You could agree or not agree, but the point of this whole thing is to um, at least get some stuff out there that maybe you can get talking about, and doing the things that need to be done to get back to a sense of reality, and that the bickering and the um, behavior that is going on nowadays will take a little bit of a backseat. And yes, some of the stuff I say is maybe controversial, maybe it's not, maybe it's. I try to make it more common sense than anything else. Um, One of the things I did want to bring up today was there's actually a couple of things I wanted to bring up, and one of them was I read an article over the weekend, last weekend, and it had something to do with death penalty. Now, full disclosure, I am all for the death penalty. I think they should bring it back. I think it'll take care of a lot of the issues that we have in this country as far as accountability and that kind of thing. But that's just my opinion, as I said it earlier. Um, but there was a gentleman that was on, I shouldn't say gentleman, but there was a person on death row in South Carolina. And the reason he was convicted of murder was he was intending on taking his girlfriend on a romantic weekend where he was planning on killing her and committing suicide. So it was kind of like a suicide pact thing or whatever. Um, that didn't happen. He went to the parents' house of his girlfriend and beat him with a baseball bat to death. Now, he's been sitting in jail for I don't know how many years, but they finally um, put him to death. But the ironic part about this is not that he was put to death, but he was giving a choice as to whether or not how he was going to be exterminated, if you will. He didn't want to be put in an electric chair because he didn't want his blood to boil, because that would be too painful. He didn't want to get the lethal injection because it would liquefy his insides and he would be eaten, or whatever. He finally opted for shooting and a firing squad. And he got his wish with that. They brought him out. They put a target on his heart. Um, all three marksmen had live rounds, and within a couple of minutes, he was dead. My problem with this whole thing is not that the guy died because of his crimes. My problem is, how the hell do you get a chance? How do you get the opportunity to even think about having a choice to which way you're going to die? The people you murdered didn't have a choice. They woke up one day and probably had their coffee and reading the newspaper and had breakfast and whatever. And here you come with a baseball bat and you decide you're going to end their life with a baseball bat. Well, I'm pretty sure that that's not the way they would have chosen to go out. I'm kind of thinking that maybe they would have gone out and preferred to go out in their sleep or have a sudden heart attack so nobody has to worry about, reviving them or any of that kind of thing. I can think of 1,000 different ways I would rather die than getting beat up by somebody or shot in the head when I don't know the person or for whatever. I don't choose whether I get to how I die. Why do you get to choose? That's just, it baffles me that we've allowed that. And I'm all, like I said, I'm all for the death penalty. If it was me and I was the governor, I would have said, give them all three. Put the needle in, revive them, stick them in the chair, revive them, and then shoot them. There, now you got all three. Simple as that. But I don't understand how this guy can sit there and get into the semantics of how he's going to die. No, that's not the way it works. You're in jail. We tell you what happens. That's the way it is. The last time I checked, jail's not supposed to be a choice. Well, it's a choice if you make decisions to get you there. That's your choice. But once you're there, you don't have a choice. Those choices are made for you. On a little bit of a lighter note, and also a little bit of a switch of gears here. Um, Baseball season is about to start, and I believe it's a couple 2 weeks or somewhere in that neighborhood where everybody's hopes for their teams and expectations blossom, and everybody's going to be a World Series candidate and that kind of thing. And I know that some of the friends of mine that are Yankee fans and stuff are a little bit disappointed because they lost their top pitcher and they've got some other issues going on. Met fans are ecstatic that they got Juan Soto, and a few other guys to help them, and everybody's hoping that they win. All the Met fans are hoping that they win the World Series this year. But I looked into the contracts, and the contracts of baseball players is just absurd. I mean, it's uh, probably rivaling basketball players, because when it comes to the strenuousness of the sport, yeah, baseball is a long season. It's 162 games. I get it. A lot of things could happen. If you're an athlete, your career could be shortened by a lot. One small injury could end your career. And I realize you got to get the money. But when I figured out Soto's salary over the course of his contract, and I just don't want to misstate what I looked it up, and I'm trying to find it now. But bottom line is that the Soto contract basically works out to that every time he walks into the batter's box, he gets paid $17,000 per time that he walks into the batter's box. Well, that's without even seeing a pitch. And that number that I came up with is assuming that he plays all 162 games. He gets $308,600 per game. Now, an average baseball player, if he's depending on where he sits in the lineup, again, let's assume he's either batting first or second in the lineup. Um, he is getting $102,000 per at bat. If he takes all the pitches that a normal at bat would be, which is roughly six, because if you get four balls, you walk to first base. If you get three strikes, you're out quicker. You could foul a couple off. It might be a little bit longer, but I'm going to guess you probably see about, on average, maybe 5 or 6 pitches per bat at bat. And that's how I came up with that number. Um, and that's just crazy. I mean, he makes more money in one game than three families make combined in the city of Philadelphia, and that's just absurd. And I get it. He's a talented guy, from what I can gather. I don't know that much about him. I've seen him only because I live in the New York metropolitan area, and I've seen him on, the Yankee games and things like that. But I just don't. I don't understand how one individual is worth that kind of money. It just that boggles my mind. But hey, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for get what you can while you can. Um, if that works for you, you do what you got to do. So, good on him. But I just thought it was an insane amount of money to be given to an individual just because he can hit a ball. And I know the whole adage about the hardest thing in sports is to hit a round ball with a round bat and hit it square. And I know I get it, all that kind of stuff. I played baseball through college. I played softball until I was in my late 40s, early 50s. So I know the game enough to know that yes, it can be difficult, but with the practice and that these guys put in, and the effort they put in, it's not really that difficult. I mean, I know you're getting thrown a ball at from 60 feet 6 inches away at speed of 100 miles an hour on average these days because people are bigger and stronger. The athletes are, and it's just the way it is. But you are capable, and obviously you're getting rewarded for it. I'm personally a hockey fan. Only reason I watch baseball is I could use a good 3 hour nap, or if there's absolutely nothing else on TV. But that's just me. But anyway, moving along. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that the left people are still going crazy. They're losing their minds, and um, they just want to. I don't understand how anybody can be mad at a person that said this is what they're going to be and what they're going to do and is doing that. As I said in my last video, I mean, transparency is everything that everybody wanted from our government. Well, here's a man that's giving you the transparency and you're not happy about it. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I've said it many times. If you don't, if you know me, you know I've said it. I didn't vote for the man. I didn't vote for Kamala Harris either. But the point of the matter is that you can't you can't hate the guy for telling the truth about what he said he was going to do, and he's following through with what he said he was going to do. You may not like it. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that he had Kennedy in charge of the health. That guy's a screwball. I don't like the fact that he wants to get rid of the birthright. Do I think that there should be some curbs on that? Yeah. I don't think you can just come here on a vacation when you're 9.5 months pregnant and drop a kid and just figure you can stay because your kid's a citizen. No, if you're in the system, you're here. Even if you came here illegally and you're in the system and trying to get your papers in order as far as like being legally here, whether it's through a green card or a student visa or whatever, and you have a child, well, that's a different story. Then you should be allowed to stay. But if you're coming here just to have the kid, just so you don't have to go back to Venezuela or Guatemala or Mexico or wherever you're coming from, that is just not appropriate, and that's not the way this country should be letting it in. And I'm not opposed to shipping these people back home, especially the illegals. Um, the Democrats are the Lincoln Riley thing, and they didn't applaud that, and that was something I forgot about. I left out in the last episode I did with this is that they never spoke up about that. They never acknowledged the fact that was a good thing that got passed. Same thing with the 13 soldiers that got killed in Afghanistan, and they paid homage to him, and the families were recognized for it. And again, nothing from the Democrats. They have nothing. They have all they want to do is continue to tell everybody he's a felon, he's a convict, he's this, he's that. Again, last episode I did of this, we discussed that, or I my opinion was that, hey, look, I looked it up. There are plenty of politicians that were convicted and are convicted felons, and they served in the Congress or the Senate, or some of them were presidents. We're not talking about the days of Richard Nixon. I mean, it's not like he's doing espionage, and if it wasn't for the fact that trial with Donald Trump, where he had all those convictions, or for the felonies that he had, first of all, they wouldn't have been felonies if it wasn't for the fact that they were in New York, and they had a biased judge, and they had a biased jury, and they had a rigged setup. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of Donald Trump, and I'm not justifying it. But why is it that the Democrats are eating their own when they try to do something with Donald Trump in agreement with him? Like Mayor Adams, for example, he said he was going to cooperate. Now they want him out of office. Okay. Menendez says that, yeah, the system is rigged because he got convicted. I mean, and now today and yesterday, they were talking about Chuck Schumer, who is saying, yeah, I'll vote for the budget. Well, why wouldn't you vote for the budget? Because the budget that they're putting out there right now is a continuation resolution which means that you're basically getting the same budget that you voted for that Biden put forth with a couple of minor changes. And you just don't want to give the president of the United States an ounce of credit. That's it. That's the bottom line. Excuse me. But point of the matter is that this is where the problem is coming in. And that's part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to spark a conversation and have people think for themselves and hear open ideas because you can't do that anymore in a bar setting or in a party setting, or if you're having a conversation at your house and you have a couple of people over for dinner, because it gets contentious. And I can't tell you how many times that somebody wants to have a conversation about something, and you got to look around to see your audience. And I always mention to the fact that, hey, know your audience before we. I have no problem engaging you, but know your audience because we're going to piss people off, and that happens all the time. And I understand it. There are certain places that aren't appropriate to have those types of discussions. A bar being one of them. But the arguments that I hear sometimes over sports teams and sports in general are sometimes more contentious than a political discussion or a talk about religion or whatever. I mean, it's just that's just the facts, and yet you can't have an open discussion, and that's part of the problem. And on the anniversary of the fifth anniversary of everybody getting locked up from because of COVID, I think those communication skills of people and the ability to give your opinions and have an open discussion are long gone because everybody got so used to staring at their phones, and they don't know how to communicate anymore because we were separated from each other for so long. And again, these are the falling outs of the draconian uh, lockdowns that they made everybody abide by, which by the way was illegal because mandates and executive orders are not laws. They're not passed by Congress. They're not passed by Senate. So therefore, they are not laws. They are just something that you can use to bypass the system. Which brings me to another topic, but I won't get that in. I won't get into that today. We'll talk about that another time because that's another thing that people are losing their minds over. Um, because there are certain things in checks and balances that are in place to keep it, but the media doesn't want to tell you that. They just want to give you their side of the story and keep everybody frightened and hiding and scared about they're going to lose this, they're going to lose that, and that's not going to happen because if the system works the way it's supposed to work, which so far it has, um, then you don't have anything to worry about. Will you maybe have to suffer a couple of things here and there? Yeah, but they're not going to take away things like Medicare or Medicaid or your Social Security benefits or any of that kind of stuff. Because first of all, that's our money, and all we're doing is loaning it to them so we can get it back when we're old and feeble and we need the extra help. And that's basically the way that works. But anyway, that's a simplified version. In the meantime, I appreciate you guys all for listening. I, appreciate the comments that I've gotten so far. They've been both criticizing and productive. I appreciate the criticisms because it just helps me to be better. Um, I do want to acknowledge one special follower of mine. You know, I am honored that he would take the time out of his very busy schedule to spend 15, 20 minutes with listening to the babbling idiot that I represent. And, he's far too intelligent and he'll let you know it. All you got to do is ask him. And, he's a very smart person. He makes Stephen Hawking and Einstein and Copernicus look like schleps. And, he's a very fine musician. Again, all you got to do is ask him, and he'll give you all the details of his legacies and how smart he is and that kind of thing. And I'm humbled that he would actually spend a little time to look in on my ramblings and my unintelligible drivel. But I, just wanted to acknowledge that one particular person. In the meantime, you all have a great day, and let's hope for the best. Let's keep praying for good outcomes all the way around, and have a great weekend. And we shall talk to you all again soon. All right. Have a great day. God bless you all, and God bless the U.S. Have a great day, guys.